Joining me now, great friend, Rick Perry, former Energy Secretary, former Texas governor, knows a thing or two about it. Rick, I hate to even ask you to do this, but really? A 3-month suspension of the federal gas tax? Really? Will that solve all our problems?
This is political theater at its best. This is a this is a circus act. I was thinking about some of the analogies that come to mind. Toto pulling back the curtain and the man standing back there saying, "Oh, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain." Joe Biden is the Wizard of Oz. I mean, literally, trying to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people with these tactics. I mean, the idea that you're going to stop the gas tax for some short period of time and it's going to have any kind of relief at all. The American people are smarter than this, Larry. And Joe Biden may not give them any credit. There was a signal when he got elected that maybe they weren't paying a lot of attention. But yesterday I was talking to a congressional delegation and I told them, I said, listen, we haven't really hurt in this country. And I'm talking about the middle-class Americans and lower middle-class Americans from the standpoint of, really hurting at the pump since back in the 70s with the oil embargo and what happened with Jimmy Carter. And this is even worse. And when you're not hurting, you can put up with a lot of things and you can go, oh, that'd be kind of cool. Well, climate genuflection here is not cool when you can't put gas in your car, when you can't take care of your family's needs. It's not cool anymore. And the Democrats have been running all of this Green New Deal and this all of this woke stuff, and they thought it was cool. Well, the American people are fixing to tell them it ain't cool, ladies and gentlemen. In November, it's coming, and it's coming hard from the American people. And they're going to send a message to this administration and to the Democrats in Congress that what they have done has been devastating to them, and they're not going to put up with it anymore.
Yeah, the Bidens, in a year and a half, Rick, they've basically taken a very good recovery from COVID. I might add an inflationless recovery with strong growth in jobs and investment, and they've just mangled it and wrecked it. And they're going to keep on doing it if they get this new reconciliation bill. We have Senator Thune coming on to handicap the prospects for that. But I want to ask you something else. Biden has been very insulting to the oil business. You were the one who told us a month ago or so that we need a special envoy to Midland, Texas, and I've repeated that line and given you full credit for it. It's a fabulous line. But he's got all these oil CEOs coming to the White House tomorrow, so he's in the building. He's not even going to that. He's sending his assistants. He's not going to that. Now, that is the biggest insult of all, it seems to me.
Yeah, well, this falls right in line with him. He is just not going to recognize, and certainly not publicly recognize, that he made a mistake here. So the one thing you said in your monologue that I think is really important, and when Biden was talking about really standing up to Putin, well, guess what? Donald Trump did that. We had that Nord Stream 2 pipeline stopped in its tracks. Putin was afraid to go hand to hand, if you will, against Donald Trump. And then one of the first things that happened, besides stopping the XL pipeline, stopping our offshore drilling, stopping the leases on the national lands, was to allow for that Nord Stream 2 pipeline to be finished. If you wanted a powerful signal, if you're a despot in Russia, is like, okay, I got a guy in the White House now that's going to let me make literally billions of dollars. And that's, I think, the catalyst that started the invasion into Ukraine.
I think you're right. Even today, Rick, supposedly with all the sanctions, industry reports is that Russian oil production is now almost back to where it was pre-war. It's almost back to, 10 million barrels a day, because they have strong export demands from India and China, and maybe some other places in Asia. So we haven't really gotten that right either. Now, we're letting Russia produce, but we're not the U.S. government is not letting America produce. It goes back to your Midland, Texas special envoy idea. You've got these CEOs coming. These are smart guys. You know them every bit as they're Darren Woods and Mike Wirth and a whole bunch of them. Some fabulous, fabulous companies. Yes. I mean, Biden should listen. He should listen to them, Rick. He should listen to them talk about, fracking, drilling, producing, pipelining, refining. I mean, what's the harm in just sitting down and listening with them?
Well, the key here is that this is simple to fix, if you want to fix it. Joe Biden and his administration, I don't think, want to fix it. What they'd like to do is to kind of slow play it a little bit, get past November and not lose control of Congress. That ain't going to happen. But I think that's their plan. They want to kind of play a little sleight of hand back and forth, a little footsie, if you will, with the oil and gas industry. But we saw the Secretary of Energy. She stood up and said, hey, listen, will y'all produce a little bit more? And then in 4 or 5 years, we're just going to crush you.
Right.
So these are smart men and women that understand the game that's being played. And the simplicity is, if the President of the United States cared about the people of this country, he would send clear messages through the permitting process, clear messages through opening up the XL pipeline and allowing American energy independence to occur again. That is the answer. And just like we had, Alex Epstein on the other day, and we were talking about fossil fuels and why those are so important to the future, not just of America, to the world. And again, I don't want to harp on this, but I think this message about the moral proper position on fossil fuels is a powerful one. If you care about people, if you care about the flourishing of the human race, fossil fuels, nuclear power, all have to be a part of that. You can't stand up and just say, oh, all renewables and by 2050 net zero.
Yeah, with no alternative plan. And here's the fix we're in. Anyway, former Energy Secretary Rick, how many times, just as an aside for 30 seconds, I was in those meetings in the cabinet room or the Oval with President Trump when those guys came to town to talk about stuff. Yeah. How many? I mean, it must have been, 10, 20 times. I don't know how many times. I just don't see. Biden's going to be in the building. If you could pull him out of Rehoboth Beach, he'll be in the building. They're going to be in the building. We are ourselves in an energy crisis. It's killing the country. We're heading into recession and inflation at the same time. And he won't meet with them. That's the part that it blows me away. I mean, really.
Maybe he should go back to the basement.
Yeah. Well, maybe people are going to send him back to the basement, That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, as a thought. Rick Perry, best of the best. Thank you, sir. It's always great to see you. Appreciate it.